With a complete outline and a plot ready to go, your only step is to start drafting. And today I got 5 productivity hacks that helped me finish my upcoming book, Inheritance of Ink, in just 8 weeks. This series is based on that story and everything that I've learned throughout the writing process. So if you're hoping to learn how to write from idea to published work, then this is the series for you. I do want to preface by saying that Inheritance of Ink is the shortest of my 4 publications. The other books from my fantasy trilogy are all over 100,000 words, and Inheritance of Ink comes in at about 70K. So 8 weeks is possible, but it just depends on your word count, your speed, and your experience. So don't necessarily beat yourself up if you can't do that, and also know that it was partially just a hook that I hope would draw you in. But it's not a lie. I really did it, and you really could too with these 5 tips. So let's get into it. Number 1, use writing sprints to maximize your productivity and take advantage of your focus windows. For me, I really like to create a playlist or find ambiance that matches my story and use that while I write. I have a whole playlist of instrumental music from Inheritance of Ink that's got like this nice cozy academia vibe to match the story, and that was very helpful for me. But something else I love is an ambiance tracks. You find a lot of them on YouTube with writing sprints built in. The length of time that you write for really depends on what your focus window is, however long you can focus before you start to feel your brain tiring out. I found 30 minutes to 50 minutes, if I was in a really good spot, could be really beneficial. And then take breaks that are between 5 and 15 minutes after each sprint. Second tip is to optimize your energy by writing during your windows of most energy and focus. For me, that's in the morning right after I have breakfast, and in the evening after I finish supper and the lights are low and everything's starting to calm down for the day. Each of you knows what windows you seem to be most inspired and most able to focus. So instead of having to fight the midday drowsiness after lunch, write in a time window that actually works better for you. And you might have to be a little flexible with yourself, but that's important too, because tip number 3 is all about word counts. I was writing for about 2,000 words a day when I was working on Inheritance of Ink, but you need to be flexible to stay consistent. That means that if you can't write 2,000 words that day, instead of saying,
"Oh, well, I can't do that much, so there's no point in writing at all,"
get rid of that all or nothing thinking, girl. That's not for you. Instead, what you want to do is write however many words you can. It could be 50, could be 500. Be flexible, give yourself grace. Otherwise, you won't stay consistent at all because you'll get discouraged too early. If you find that writing out of order helps you stay inspired because you get to write the scenes you know most about and you're most excited to write, then girl, do that. No one's going to stop you. But for me personally, I like to write in order because it helps me to visualize how the flow of the story is going to work. And it also helps motivate me. I tell myself, I don't like this scene that I'm writing that much right now, but eventually it's going to get me to the scene I really want to write. And that motivation helps me. So find what works for you. Now, we tackle how to get rid of plot holes last week, but if some manage to escape your grasp, don't you worry. If you find one while you're drafting, write yourself a note about it and then keep drafting. I'm sure any writing software you use will have a way to comment to yourself. So just write a note or even a sticky note and work on it later. You don't want to interrupt that flow to try to solve a problem that could take a while to get through. Mistake number 1 is getting beta readers who aren't in your target audience. So when you're writing, you want to know exactly who you're writing for. I've talked about that plenty of times before. And that means that people who really enjoy the type of story you're writing should be the ones who are beta reading it. You might get some interesting insight from someone who's not necessarily in that genre, but it's important the majority of your readers are readers who like that type of story. That way your feedback will actually be valuable to helping you find the right readers once you publish. Mistake number 2 is to not have an exit questionnaire for your beta readers. Some might leave comments on the draft, others might not, or they might comment on things that weren't really concerns, the things that you needed feedback on. And if you want an example of an exit questionnaire, stay to the end because I'm going to show you the exact one I use for my Inheritance of Ink beta readers. Mistake number 3 is having too few or too many beta readers. If you've only got a couple, you're going to not have enough a base of feedback, and then if you have a bunch, it can become very overwhelming very quickly. I use 9 readers for Inheritance of Ink, but I'd say anywhere from 5 to 10 is a pretty safe range. Mistake number 5, and this is probably the most common and dangerous of them all, is to have unclear or uncommunicated expectations. You need to tell your readers exactly what kind of feedback you're looking for. Otherwise, you could end up with a whole bunch of helpful little grammar corrections when what you needed was overall plot and character feedback. You should also give your readers a clear deadline. 8 weeks is the usual amount of time for beta reader feedback in my experience, but it could be shorter or longer depending on the length of your manuscript. If it's 150,000, you might need to give them some more time. That's all I have to say. And then another thing that is just so essential is that you do not expect all of your readers to get back to you or to finish the manuscript. Life interferes with the best of intentions, and sometimes your beta readers just are not going to be able to finish their commitment. So it's important that you're not completely relying on getting all their feedback. That's why you want to have more than just a few, because some of them won't get back to you. And if you have a good base of beta readers, even with those who don't respond, you'll still end up with enough feedback to work with. And then mistake number 6, I have a whole separate video on, which of course I have linked below. And And that's just going to be asking for feedback before you're actually ready. For me personally, I like to get beta reader feedback after my first round of edits, just to make sure that there's no like big glaring grammar errors that would distract them too much from the actual things I want feedback on. So I'll usually read through and focus on that. But if you want to talk editing, you're going to have to wait to the next video because that's what I'm tackling next in the series. For Snuggles, I will see you next week, and we hope until then that you will stay kind, curious, and courageous. Bye!